Our very first speaker, I'll introduce her in a second, is a very good colleague and a good friend of mine, and so thank God for good friends. She's stepping in, and so she is going to be our master of ceremony in the morning. So we're going to kick off with a topic that our partners at Alberta Works and Alberta Human Services and us, we've been working with this now since fall of 2015, right, Pam? We're going to be talking about applicant tracking systems. With the exception of the HR people in the room, who cannot raise their hands, who knows what an applicant tracking system is? Raise your hand. Okay, so there's a few of you. Applicant tracking systems are, in my opinion, a devilish invention that somebody came up with because they did not want to do the screening work, and they figured out that machines would do it better. And these processes, these systems are so good today that in effect the chances that any one of us would make through are minimal. So our very first speaker is going to spend a good chunk of time talking about applicant tracking systems and in effect how to make them your friend. Because unless we do, remember the conversation about technology yesterday? Unless we figure out how they work and how we need to work with them, the chances of us getting the dream position in the dream company is minimal. So this is an extremely important presentation. So we have with us today Lise Stransky, whom you will have the pleasure of seeing for a while this morning, since she is going to be your master of ceremony. Liz is a certified career development practitioner, a CCDP. Now, rolling that off the tongue, Liz, gotta do it. She's also the founder of a company called Careers That Work For You, who really dedicates all of its efforts to helping us all navigate the job market. And so you've got in Liz this morning somebody who really knows what's going out there from both sides of the fence. She's a graduate certificate from Conestoga College, the Emerging Leader Certificate from the University of Calgary. She does have mental health first aid, which can come in very handy when you find out that all your backups are falling off. That is good. I might need a consultation. And she is absolutely certified to deliver personality dimensions. She's a frequent speaker. If you've had the opportunity to come to some of the sessions here at the library, you will have seen Liz in action. She sits on the Standards and Certification Committee for the CDAA, and she's a past board member of Ghost River Theatre. So yesterday we had Sean, the comedian. Today we have the theater expert. I think we're starting a new company in the arts. We'll do much better. So I'm going to leave Liz now to come and join us and how to demystify applicant tracking systems and make them your friend. Have a fabulous morning, and I'll see you later in the morning.
Good morning, everyone. I like to move around, but I need to hear from you if you can hear me. Raise your hand. Show of hands, can you hear me? Okay, good. Is everybody comfortable with me not using a microphone?
Would you use them?
I also do this a lot, so you'll hear me in the wrong way. So if it's okay, I'll speak like this, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. So as Nicole introduced, my name is Lise Stransky. My name rhymes with cheese, that's a good way to remember it. And I am a certified career development practitioner, which is a fancy way of saying I'm a career coach, a career advisor. I help people with figuring out their skills, how they can transfer to different industries, job search strategies. I also develop and deliver presentations like this. I've been doing this for about 12 years, and I love what I do. And it's so hard in this time to help all of you because it's the economic downturn, right? So today I want to help you with applicant tracking systems. I know there's a few people in the audience who've seen my session already, but we're going to talk about applicant tracking systems and how you can use them and how you can best get through them. A couple of housekeeping tips. In your handouts, you have a tip sheet on things you should do for your resume for applicant tracking systems. Everybody's got one because we're going to be using that a little bit later on. The second thing is the slides that I have today, you don't have a handout of. However, they will be on the Telepool website. So all of the links and references that you see in here today, you will have access to on the website shortly. The third thing is, I will be here until the break today, but I have to leave after the break. So if you have other questions, please find me during the break. I'd be happy to talk to you about those. How many people are actively looking for a job right now? Okay, this is a great session to come to then. This is what job search looked like once upon a time. You looked in the paper, you saw a job posting, you made a resume, you applied for the job, maybe you mailed it or faxed it in. And job search has changed significantly in the past several years. It continues to change. If you're not doing some of the things that technology has created for us, it's going to be very difficult to get a job, to get an interview. So if you're applying for jobs and you're not hearing anything, one of my hopes with the goal of today's session today is that I can give you some tips to get that phone call for an interview. Because the systems that are in place with applicant tracking systems can be very difficult to navigate, and you want to make sure, since you've got all the skills to do the job, that you're getting noticed and getting through these computer systems. So today, this is what job search looks like. Having an online social media presence, having a network that you can rely on, using the technology and using each other for your job search. So our goals today are to talk about what are applicant tracking systems, and many of you know what they are, how they work, and my tips for getting through them. So if everybody's okay with that, we'll kick it off. So a number of you put up your hand that you know what an applicant tracking system is. Can I hear an answer as to what is your understanding of an applicant tracking system? What is it?
It goes through a database in the computer.
What goes through a database in the computer?
The applicant tracking system for keywords.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Yeah, and so when you are submitting a resume online to apply for a job, your resume goes through a screening system. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to rephrase. Thank you, okay, yes.
There are a lot of pre-screening questions in the applicant tracking system. So if you're out in one of them, and unless and until there's no one else for that job, you are out. It's like even one of the questions if you're not a yes, it means you're automatically out. There's no use going any further.
Yes, so an applicant tracking system, just to paraphrase that, often there are screening questions that you will be asked when you're applying to a job. And if you can't answer yes to all of them, that is the first screen. That's really frustrating. Because you could have a degree in something, but they're asking for a certificate. And if you say, well, I don't have this certificate, but I've got this degree, why are you screening me in? So I'll echo Nicole's sentiment that they can be devilish. They can screen out highly qualified applicants. If you know how to work with them and answer honestly, then you can increase your chances of getting through them. I should mention that the first time I did this presentation was in this room. It was a 2.5-hour presentation. We did a lot of stuff on applicant tracking systems, and I have 30 minutes today. So we're covering a lot of information, and it can be really overwhelming in a short period of time. So an applicant tracking system is a system in place that screens and analyzes your resume and your application and grades it. It grades it and gives you a percentage mark to see how you fall in the keywords and the ranking of the qualified candidate they're looking for. So when you're applying to a website, it will manage all the job openings. So say the city of Calgary has 100 job openings. It's managing all of those openings. It has a position that's listed there. You, as the applicant, apply to that position. The applicant tracking system will screen, and the city of Calgary does not do this, so I want to be very clear about that. It does not have an applicant tracking system. We'll get into how you identify them in a minute. But it screens resumes from job seekers, and then it ranks them from job seekers. So there's a bit of a difference between some of the questions and what an applicant tracking system can do. Okay? This is it's a little bit blurry, and I apologize for that, but this is a visual representation of what an applicant tracking system does. So at the top here, HR gets your resume. Okay, it gets the resume in the applicant tracking system. The computer system has run it through something called a parser. A parser has broken down all the content that's on your resume and given it a numerical value. It ranks it, what the words are in your resume. So that's what it does, it breaks it down. So it assigns meaning to the resume content. You can have the most beautiful resume in the world, but if you don't have the right words in your resume, you're not going to make it through this system. So it's looking for things like your education, your contact information, your skills, your work experience. Then the employer looks at the list. 95% match, 75% match, 0% match. And it's going to look at the top matches. So before your resume is ever seen by a human being, it's gone through this system and it's been analyzed. So it's looking for keywords and it's given a ranking and it's been analyzed. And then a human being may look at it and go, oh, we've got somebody who's a 98% match for this position. I'd like to give this resume a second look, third look. So that is basically the computer system and how an applicant tracking system works. Are there any questions about that? Yes?
I heard somewhere that if you rank too high, sometimes you can be considered overqualified.
You know, it's a good question. And I think every HR recruiter will give you a different answer to that. I've heard an HR recruiter who said, I look at the top 30 in percentage and I look at 0%. Because who doesn't get at least one match on their resume? And so something is flagged for them that they get a 0% match. So honestly, and you're going to hear this a lot from me, it's going to depend. So some recruiters will tell you, absolutely, yeah, it's too high, I am not looking at this person. And other people will say, no, this is the system and this is who we want to look at. The tough part right now in this economy is you might have one job posting with 600 to 1,000 applications. And that's what this system is managing, is all of the influx in applications. So it could be yes, it could be no. What I would give you in advice to that is you have to make sure you have the keywords of the job posting. If you have one resume and you're using that for every job you apply to, I can guarantee you with probably 99% certainty you're not getting calls. Because even if it's the same occupation, every company is different. They might have a different mission statement. They may have used different words that they're looking for. So you take the job posting and you look at the keywords and you put them and you customize each resume. It sounds like a lot of work. There are ways that you can do it to make sure that you're getting those keywords in and you're getting through these systems. Okay? So how can you tell that you're using an applicant tracking system? Does anybody want to give me a clue as to how you can tell? Yeah.
Most of these will have a plain text resume space, because that removes, if someone wants to cheat, it removes that possibility of cheating.
Cheating. Yes. One of the pieces of advice that I offer is you look at the system, and if you're not given advice on what type of document to upload, you should use a plain text resume. Because an applicant tracking system gets really caught up and log jammed in graphics and tables in different types of beautiful things on a resume. Okay? How you can tell. This is a list of applicant tracking systems. Some of them. Generally, companies with over 50 employees have applicant tracking systems simply because they're managing all of the job postings and the people that are coming in. So generally, if a company has more than 50 employees, then how can you tell how many employees a company has?
Online?
Online, LinkedIn.
The website of the company.
The website of the company. Calgary Economic Development has lists of companies in Calgary with the numbers of employees at each one. So you can get a sense with that if you want to do that extra research. Talio is a well-known applicant tracking system, Simplicity, Oracle, ICIMS, Bamboo HR, HR Direct Job Light, LinkedIn Recruiters, and this is a list of some of the other ones. The other big flag on how you can tell that you're using an applicant tracking system is that when you go from the job posting to apply, you'll see an apply now button. Okay? So I'd like to demonstrate that to you with a couple of postings, some from the speakers who are here today and other organizations that you might not be 100% sure. So I'm going to take you to some of these websites right now. We're going to go to Alphabeta Group first. So we're looking at their website, and keep in mind that websites can change. So what you're looking at today, for any of these websites, you might see something different. So what you're looking at right now, we've got Getting Started. Where do I fit in? So where are these careers? Well, if you look here under Getting Started, you will see some information about how to apply to this organization for a position. You've got completed application form. Is this company using an applicant tracking system?
No.
Why?
They're sending a mail to HR directly.
Sorry, can you look?
Sorry. They want a mail sent to the HR directly.
Absolutely. They've got an email address here, and they're asking for that document to be sent to that person directly. That doesn't mean you should use your general resume and send it to them. If you're in one industry and you're moving to another, you research the website, find out what's important to them, and you put the keywords in your resume and email it to this. Now, you can email it as a PDF, you can email it as a Word document. What's the best thing to do? Give them a call and ask them. Or do some research to find out if there's people at this organization that you can talk to and you have that. Yes?
One thing I've noticed on a lot of websites is that they'll have first the fields that you're talking about asking for specifics when it comes to your history, but then they'll ask you also to send in your own resume.
Yeah.
Now, for a lot of us, that seems redundant,
Yeah.
but I guess just like you're talking about, what they're doing is they're first tracking exactly what they want, and then asking you to send in your own personalized resume so they can take a second look.
Yeah, it seems a bit redundant, doesn't it, that you've got to upload a resume but answer all of these skills. And that's part of the system in that they create a database, a candidate database. So when you log into your City of Calgary account to register your kids for a program, you're creating a profile and account. When you log into WestJet to book a flight, you're doing the same thing. Same thing with some of these applicant tracking systems, you're creating a candidate profile. And then keep in mind there's different positions. So if you're really interested in Alberta Health Services, but there's a number of positions, you've got one candidate profile, but you've got to put different resumes for each position. Okay. So our next company is New Energy Corporation. When I was online last night doing a little bit of research for our session today, this is one of the companies that's under 50 people in Calgary that I got from the Calgary Economic Development website. So as I look at this website, we've got a map, we've got for career opportunities, please email. And down here, career opportunities. Currently the company is looking for candidates for the following positions: mechanical control systems engineer, electrical engineer, fluid mechanics, marine materials specialist. Is this an applicant tracking system? No. Okay, don't ask. It's not. But there's not a specific job posting. So what do? Well, you do your research. You research the company. You research the keywords that are associated with these positions, and you build it into your resume so that you have a targeted resume and cover letter when you email this organization. You call the organization, you network to see who you know, and find out a little bit more about what they're looking for. City of Calgary.
Yes.
Applicant tracking system?
Yes.
Yes and no.
It's not an applicant tracking system. Do you know how I know that? Because I follow LinkedIn, and I follow the City of Calgary's LinkedIn page. And somebody asked one of the recruiters on LinkedIn, oh, but you use applicant tracking systems. And the recruiter said, no, we do not use an applicant tracking system. They do not screen applications. Why do you have shocked looks on your face? Because they're so big.
There's another thing about the city of Calgary. They have a lot of information on how to create a covering letter,
Yeah.
but I spoke to someone and they actually don't look at the covering letter. So it's actually a lot of waste of time where you do a lot of work because they've mentioned it,
Yes.
but it's actually they don't see it.
See, and there again, back to your question, well, they say this and they say that. They have information about a cover letter. Some people read cover letters and don't read resumes. Some people read resumes and don't read cover letters. How are you as a job seeker supposed to get through these systems and supposed to get through to an interview? It can be very frustrating. So my basic rule of thumb is do what they're asking you to do. Because that's one of the things they're grading you on. If you haven't submitted transcripts and they've asked you for them, you're screened out. If you haven't submitted a cover letter, even if they're not reading it, you're screened out. So go to the source and find out what they're asking for and then submit it. So the great thing about the city of Calgary is one of the city's largest employers. They actually give you tips on what to do. Now, I may debate some of the resume best practices here, but everybody has an opinion. This is what they're asking you to do as a job seeker, so why wouldn't you? When you go to the apply to the jobs section, internal applicants, so business strategist, let's take a look. Now, I always thought the city of Calgary used an applicant tracking system, just like you did. The reason I thought that was there's an apply now button. Oh, I have to log in. It must be an applicant tracking system. So if I log in, oops. If I log in, I already have a profile with the city of Calgary because once upon a time I applied for a job there. I have a choice, upload a new resume or use an existing resume. It still has my old resume from the last job I applied to. Business Strategist is different from the last resume. So I would never use the same resume. So that's tip number one. Don't use the resume that you've got stored in their systems. Upload a new resume. And if you do, use an existing resume, it'll tell you. And you may have 3 or 4 or 5 resumes that you've uploaded to this particular website. You load that in, continue. Now, our gentleman over here has said, but there's all these screening questions. This looks like an applicant tracking system. It's a screening mechanism. Thousands of people applying, one job. They've got to find some criteria to screen out. So you need to answer honestly, and if you don't have some of these things, they may not call you, and you may not get put into that yes pile for an interview. And that can be super frustrating because you may have other qualifications that allow you to do the job. So how do you get around that? There's a way, truly, there's a way to get around stuff like this. 5 minutes? Okay, thank you. The way to get around this is, who do you know at the city of Calgary? Who do you know that works there that you can talk to that can say, can you give me some advice? Can you assist me with getting my resume in front of the right person? Okay? My sister wanted to work at WestJet. She called me and said, Lise, I need some help. I want to work at WestJet. First thing I thought was, who do I know at WestJet? I know nobody at WestJet. Wait a second. My husband has a cousin. He's getting married. His fiance used to work at WestJet. The MC at the wedding still works at WestJet. How can I connect the dots here? And we did. We connected the job dots and I introduced my sister with 3-4 degrees of separation to the MC at that wedding so she could do some research on what WestJet looks for. Okay? Same thing with some of these other applicant tracking systems. So City of Calgary does not use an applicant tracking system, but you have to audit. You have to answer their questions honestly. WestJet, you know how you can tell WestJet's using an applicant tracking system? See up here? SuccessFactors.com. Yeah, that is a great way to figure out if they're using an applicant tracking system or not. Google this. You can find out if they're using the applicant tracking system. So before you apply, take your job posting, take your resume, and put it into something called JobScan. Has anybody heard of that before? It is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It does the reverse of the applicant tracking system. In the interest of time, I'm not going to demonstrate it to you. You take your resume, you You plunk it into their system. You take the job posting, and it scans it, and it grades your resume. It gives you 58% if you don't have enough of the keywords. It gives you 97% if you do. What should you aim for? The highest you can get. Other ways that you can do that to see if you have the keywords, this is before you do anything. Take your current resume, put it in JobScan. Phenomenal tool. Before you apply, who do you know at that organization? That is the first thing that you can think of. Make contact with your known contacts. I applied for a job at the University of Calgary recently. It was a 3-month contract. First thing, who do I know? Who can I contact to find out more about this position? To get information about what they're looking for and see if I can get my application in front of the right people. So I contacted an old colleague. I said, Mandy, what's going on? You've got this 3-month position. She told me what was happening. She said, let me know if you apply. I'll make sure my manager knows. I contacted the person who was leaving for 3 months. What are my frustrations going to be with this job? What are the challenges going to be with this job? What types of things should I highlight in my application? Who do you know? I did get a call for an interview. I did get the job. And that's how it happens. Who do you know? If you don't know somebody, what can you do for yourself? How can you find somebody?
Go to LinkedIn.
Go to LinkedIn, absolutely. You have a room full of people here, and everybody in this room knows somebody. This is a networking opportunity. So talking to people, LinkedIn, online, talking to people in person, reaching out and saying, hey, I'd like to find out more information about your organization. And that is an ongoing career management tool, not just when you are in job search mode. Before you apply, find out all the social media that they're using, get on it. It's intimidating, but as much as you can do, do it. Know the industry, use their ways. If the landscape industry says, we want to see a photo on your resume, put a photo on your resume. I would never tell a client to do that, but if that industry says do it, do it. It's about research and preparedness. There's a tip sheet. You're going to take about a minute to look at that tip sheet. Here's the thing with resumes. 25 people can give you 25 different opinions about a resume. It is so frustrating, isn't it? Well, I heard that you should never do this. Well, I heard you should do this. Oh, you should absolutely never do this. I'll be the 26th person to give you my take on resumes. Okay? There are best practices that you should do in a resume, absolutely. But you know your industry best, and if you can tell me I'm doing this because this is what the industry does, I will say absolutely you need to do that. So you know your industry, you know the position, you talk to the recruiters, you find out the information they need, and you do it. It's like if you were dancing. If somebody's trying to do the waltz, why would you do the foxtrot? Same idea. Find out what the industry does and do it. In your tip sheet, I'd like you to take a look at some of the tips. Look at them and decide, am I doing this or am I not doing this? And I'd like to hear from you quickly, are there any questions or anything you don't understand on that tip sheet that I can address for you in the next couple of minutes? Yes?
Quick question. I've heard conflicting things on PDF resumes.
Yeah.
I've heard that applicant tracking systems can or can't scan them. I like these PDFs because it makes sure the integrity of the formatting stays the same.
Absolutely.
Is there any truth to the fact that ATSs struggle with PDFs?
Yes and no. Some applicant tracking systems say it's okay to use a PDF. University of British Columbia uses an applicant tracking system. It says it's okay, you can upload it in Word, text, or PDF. So go with what the system says. Generally, they can't screen PDFs. Yeah. So I would always go to the system and what the instructions say. But good practice. If you're applying to an email address, I would do the same thing. I send it as a PDF. But I always look and see what formats they can accept. Okay? Yes.
Why does it say omit page numbers?
Yeah.
But why?
Because it'll log jam the screening and the parsing process. So if you've got a random number and a computer system is screening your resumes looking for keywords, a random number in your resume is going to confuse the system.
Oh my
So
God.
for your applicant tracking system resume, take out the page number.
Because we've always been told to make sure you have page numbers so that they can put, in case they lose.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is for an applicant tracking system resume. Okay? So if you were applying to that email address, absolutely. Put page numbers, you don't want them to get lost. You want them in order. or if you're handing it, if you're giving it to Chris, here's my resume, page 1, page 2. But an applicant tracking system is going to log it. So the basic thing, the one thing I want you to leave with is, you've got to strip your resume of a lot of formatting, tables, graphs, any special things that you're using on your resume. You need to take them out so that that computer system can screen and it won't get stuck. The biggest eye-opener for me, I use the term professional experience on my resume. Applicant tracking systems look for work experience. Yeah, it's like, well, it's the same thing. But that's what they're looking for, because the keywords, somebody puts in the keywords that they're looking for, and that's what the applicant tracking system searches on. Yes?
It says don't use any, the resume template or headers or footers. Is that the same thing as the page numbers?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so headers, footers, templates are the bane of my existence. Do not use a template ever. Don't go to Microsoft and use a template. They're terrible. Open up a blank document, put in your information.
Can you share a little bit more about that? Because I've seen.
Sure. An HR recruiter can tell you right away if you've used a template, and it's very generic, it doesn't sell you well, and it looks lazy. You're using a template, okay? So, and with the screening systems, if you've got a template, they've got formatting embedded in that template, so it's going to logjam an ATS system, okay? Yeah.
And I've seen when people have forgotten to remove the template, like where it says name and they put their, like, different things on the template, they haven't removed
Yes.
specific topics and it's
Totally.
still sitting there.
Yeah, blank MS Word document, start typing, okay? Spelling mistakes are the death of your resume. Check it and check it and check it, because if a keyword is put into their system spelled one way, and you've spelled it another, and you've got it throughout your resume, it's not gonna pick it up. It's absolutely not gonna pick it up. So double check, triple check, get somebody to look at it. Calgary Public Library has career coaches that can review your resume at no cost on Thursday nights from 6 to 7:45. I'm one of them.
Excuse me?
Yes?
It says prioritize the words, so does that mean like at the top, those words are
Sure, yeah.
ranked?
So prioritize the words. You're looking at the job posting, that's your guide.
Yeah.
The job posting will have a list of the required skills that they are looking for. Use that as your model. So if they are asking for communication skills first, why would you put your technical skills first on a resume? They're asking you for communication skills first, which is telling me that's most important to them. So that's what I mean by
So
prioritize.
if you put it first, does it change your ranking?
It depends on the system. It depends on how many times your keyword is in there that it's going to pick it up. Right? Yeah, last question.
There are two things usually on a resume. It's the skills, which
Yes.
is your qualification, and then it goes on what the current person is doing or what the job posting actually requires someone to do.
Okay.
And both of them have a lot of keywords because the actual requirements, the qualifications is a very small part, and the rest is the longer one. So the qualification is important because that is, I think, the first screening, but it's usually lower down in the
Yeah.
category of the process.
Yes.
And the second thing is talking about acronyms. In my profession, I see a lot of people still using an acronym which was used 4 years back. It
Yeah.
has been discontinued, I think, 2 years back
Yep.
by the society in Canada, but people are still using the earlier designations. So do we then, because then if you put in the new designation, you are automatically screened out.
Yeah.
So do you use the older one and then say that I work the latest one? What do we do in that? Because it's screen out is a screen out.
So to answer that question first about acronyms, general rule of thumb is you don't use acronyms on a resume. You spell it out. So my advice to you would be use the acronym and spell it out at least once. And go to the job posting. What has the job posting put in their job posting? If they put EPAP brackets and spelled it out, put that. That's what you're looking for. And in trying to decide what keywords to use, you look at the qualifications and skills, and you look at the requirements of the job. Okay? So I can't take any more questions because I do have to introduce our next speaker. But check your resume. You put the keywords in, job scan. Go back there and see how well you've matched it. Okay? It's a phenomenal tool. Follow the instructions of each applicant tracking system. That is the best thing that you can do for yourself. It says PDF, go for it. Load it out as a PDF. It says it won't recognize a PDF, do not use a PDF. If you're asked for a salary range in the questions of that screening tool, put a range if you can. Make sure you know the market, know what you're worth, and put a range. After you've applied, make sure that you're customizing your resume for every single job that you apply for. I cannot emphasize that enough. One resume is not going to cut it anymore. You can have your main resume, and then you just customize it for each position. Do everything you can to be in touch with that company. Finally, who do you know? Networking is 80% effective. Online jobs, 20%. Alberta short-term labor market forecast just sent out their forecast this week. They talked to employers and said, where do you find your staff? 58% of those people surveyed said through referrals, 16% online through websites. So if you're spending all of your time online on websites, you are not going to be as effective as building and connecting and finding the right people in the organization. I am going to be here at the break for further questions. Hopefully that tip sheet will give you some more information on what to do and what not to do for the applicant tracking system. I am now going to turn it over to our next speaker.